Hi, good day. By the way, my name is John Paul Asumbra, and today I am going to show you my teaching demonstration. And the subject that I am going to teach is Science for Grade 7. And the topic is all about the location of the Philippines with respect to the different landforms and bodies of water. And now I can start my teaching demonstration. So, everyone, please stand for our prayer all together in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, good morning, class. Okay, you may now take your seats. Wow, I can see a lot of happy faces today and everything is sweetie. Your chair are arranged properly. So good job. So now I will check your attendance first. So let me see it. Okay, very good. No one is absent. So class, before we start our lesson this morning, I just want you to remind again about our classroom rule. So first, is it properly? Second, listen attentively. Third, participate in our class discussion. And last is listen attentively. So before we start our lesson, we have to recap the lesson that we are tackled last meeting. So what our lesson last meeting, Andre? Very good. Our lesson last meeting is all about to the location or locating places on the map. And on the map, we are able to locate the Philippines. And our previous question was, where in the world is the Philippines? And we are able to answer this question using the latitude and longitude. So these lines are imaginary line because we can see them. So remember that the line of the latitude circles of the Earth is from S to S, and the line of the latitude circles of the Earth is from north to south. So, these lines are the words that geographers use in order for them to find the specific place on Earth. But also on our previous lesson, we are also used to locate places using the, very good, using the coordinate system. Also by combining latitude and longitude so that any location can be pinpointed. So in our next lesson, you will be learning about the different landforms and bodies of water in our archipelago. And this lesson is all about the location of the Philippines with respect to the different landmasses and bodies of water. And for our lesson objective, first is to determine and label the different landforms and bodies of water in the Philippines. Second is to identify the location of the Philippines with respect to the land masses and bodies of water. And last is to identify some ways for our scenic spot to be recognized by the foreigners. So for our essential questions, so these are the questions that you need to ponder on while we go along to our discussion this morning. So I hope that you will be able to answer this question at the end of our lesson. So first is, how does where we live influence the way we live? And second is, how does the location determine the growth of the particular place? So, but before that, let's have a short activity which is guess the picture. So, in this activity, I am going to show you the different landforms and bodies of water as well in the Philippines, and you are going to tell where is this area or what is the name of that specific landforms or bodies of water. So, are you ready? Okay, so let's start our first picture. Very good. That is Sierra Madre. Next. Okay, that is Mount Pulag. Next, okay, that is Pagsanhan Falls. Next, okay, very good, Underground River. Very good, that is Boracay. Next, okay, that is Mayon Volcano. Okay, so these are some of the geographic features of the Philippines. So we all know that the Philippines is an archipelago. So once we said archipelago, it is made of the islands and seas, and their formation is depends upon the condition of the country. So in our next activity, So group the class into three, which is here is group one, here is group two, and here is group three. And you will be able to label the word that I am giving to you on the blank map. So this is the blank map. So I will give it to you later. And also you can use your world map or the Asia map as your reference. So is that clear? Okay. Okay, time's up. Kindly pass your work. So what have you found out on our activity this morning? Okay, very good. So the tasks that you have done to perform are the different land masses and bodies of water that surrounds to our archipelago. So before we move on, let us define some of the terms that you are going to encounter in this lesson. So the first is the archipelago. So the word archipelago comes from the Greek word means arche, which means chief, and pelagos, which means sea. So the term archipelago are used for two ways. So first is it may describe as a group of an island at sea, and second, it may describe as the sea with many scattered islands. So the second word is topography. So the origin of topography comes from topo for place and graphia for writing. So it is the study of land surface. So in particular, it lays the underlying foundation of the landscape. So those are the two words that you will encounter in this lesson. So first, archipelago, and second is topography. So now let's move on to our question this lesson. So how would you describe the Philippines? So on our previous activity, I have shown you the different landforms and bodies of water that can be found in the Philippines. So through that, you could tell that the Philippines is a beautiful archipelago. So the Philippines is an archipelago that are found in the Southeast Asia. And it consists of 7,641 islands with three main divisions, which is Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So a while ago, I asked you to describe the Philippines. So to describe the country by looking at this map. So now, take a look on this map. So you could say that the Philippines is an archipelagic country that surrounded by different bodies of water that can be found in the western Pacific Ocean. So now let's take a look on the different bodies of water that surrounds to our country. So on the eastern part of the country, it is bounded by the Philippine Sea. And on the west, it is bounded by the Celebes Sea, and on the south, it is bounded by the West Philippine Sea or South China Sea. So now let's take a look on the neighboring island of our country. So in this illustration, you can notice that our country's strategic location makes it a part of, it is a part of what? Okay, very good. It is a part of Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, the Pacific Ring of Fire, so the group of the countries from a horseshoe shape, parang tinatawag nila na sapatos ng kabayo around the edges of the Pacific Ocean. So, bakit nga ba natin to tinawag na Pacific Ring of Fire? Because this is where the earthquakes and volcanic activities are frequently occurs. Okay. So, here are some of the countries that are also located in the Pacific Ring of Fire. So, which includes Chile, Mexico, United States, Antarctica, Russia, Japan, Philippines, and many other more. So, the Philippines archipelago is along the Ring of Fire. How does it mean to be a part of a Ring of Fire? So, remember that the Ring of Fire, it is where the mountains and volcanoes are formed and earthquakes are generated. So it is also the reason why our archipelago is volcanic and mountainous. So it is where the mountain and volcanoes are formed and also the earthquakes are generated. So because of the location and topography of the country or of the Philippines, it has a lot of attractive scenic spot. So on our next activity, it is entitled It's More Fun in the Philippines. We are going to have a trivia or it is a trivia game. So this will features the beautiful land masses and bodies of water that surround to the Philippines. So the information about this scenic spot will be given and the play and each question has only one answer and you are not allowed to use your mobile phones or anything if possible. So are you ready? Okay, let's start with our first picture. So it is the highest peak in Luzon. It is the third largest mountain in the Philippines, or it is famous for its sea of clouds and the view of Milky Way at dawn. Very good. That is Mount Pulag. Okay, next question. It is the highest peak in Visayas. It is one of the active volcanoes in the Philippines and makes and parts of the Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, that is Mount Canlaon. Third, it is the highest point in Philippines. It is the highest mountains in the Philippines archipelago. So guess it? Okay, very good. That is Mount Apo. Next question. It is the longest mountain range in the Philippines. Okay, running in the north-south direction from province of Cagayan to the north and Quezon to the south. Also, it is called the backbone of Luzon. So that is Sierra Madre. Okay, and on our fifth question, it is an active volcano that erupted in year 1991. So it is the most notorious for its BEI 6 eruption on June 15, 1991. So the second largest terrestrial eruption on the 20th century. So that is Mount Pinatubo. Okay, next question. It is known for its perfect cone. It is the most active volcano in the Philippines and its activity is regularly monitored by PHIVOLS. So that is Mayon Volcano. Okay, next, it is the longest river in the Philippines. It is called the Rio Grande of Cagayan and the Philippines' mightiest water course, the longest and widest river in the country. So that is the Cagayan River. So next, it is declared as UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the new seven wonders of nature. It has a spectacular limestone mountain landscape, dramatic landforms in the cavern and pristine water surrounding it that is underground river. So next, it is the second highest waterfalls in the Philippines. It is sometimes called the Twin Falls, flow and separated by rock and the brink of the waterfall. So that is Maria Cristina Falls. And for our last question, it is most important falls in Laguna. It is also known as the Cavinti Falls, or it is one of the most famous waterfalls in the Philippines. So that is Pagsanhan Falls. Okay, for more trivia question about the Philippines archipelago, you can go to this link. So this is all about the different landforms and bodies of water. So you can try this fun trivia in this website. So as a Filipino, do you really believe that it's more fun here in the Philippines? Yes. After knowing the different landmasses and bodies of water that I have shown you, so those are only some uh, of the best places in the Philippines. So for me, I really believe that it's more fun here in the Philippines. So because our country has a lot of scenic spot and it is also the reason why the foreigners are attracted to our country. So, and for your activity, you are going to answer these four questions. So just explain comprehensively the following phrases below based on what you've learned from our discussion. And then, this is your guideline in answering the question. You have to read and understand what is the focus, the controlling idea, and the development also. And this is the rubrics or the criteria on I will be graded your activity. Is that clear? Okay, very good. So I hope you have learned a lot from our discussion this morning about the location of the Philippines and the different landforms and bodies of water in our archipelago. So everyone, thank you so much for your participation in our class discussion, and hopefully you have deepened your understanding about this lesson. So again, have a nice day and keep safe.